see it can take it and run with it. This is the channel where faith and vision collide to bring forth manifestation. You're watching the Vision Channel.
How long have you been doing this? I'm going on 2 years.
What made you want to do it?
The Lord gave me a bigger platform for the gospel and other information that people need to hear for everything. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yes.
Okay.
We ready? I'd like to say good evening. Welcome to Let's Talk with Sandra. Thank you for tuning in with your girl on tonight. I have an exciting show for you on tonight. I am so excited to have this special guest in with me on tonight. He has some information that he want to share with you on tonight. He is a pre-planning advisor, and he is with Dignity Memorial. So I have no other than Jay McLaughlin in here with me on tonight, and we're going to be talking about Dignity Memorial. It's some good information that you need to know. You can share it. Tell your family, tell your friends, co-workers, and neighbor. You know, we all stand in need of this information as it relates to Dignity Memorial. So at this time, I don't want to waste any time because I want to jump right into it so Jay can share all the things that Dignity is doing. We need to hear this and we need to know because, you know, during this time of year is a time where we have a lot of deaths, Jay. Just the other day, just last week, I'm going to say just last week, and we're praying for this pastor who just died in his sleep. So we're praying for this pastor, Pastor Johnson, Jeremy Johnson of Evangelist Chapel, AME Church, and we're praying for so many bereaved families. Pastor Chriswell and his family, his sister, we're praying for you all as well. So many bereaved families. So you all know this is information that we need. And we have to share this information so people will be prepared. So I'm going to turn it over right now. I'm going to give you the number first. So if you have any questions for Jay, you can call in at 281-888-4042. Again, that number is 281-888-4042. Call in. You may think you know something and you may not have the answer to the question that you think you know, but Jay will be glad to answer that question for you. So Jay, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, Sandra, let me first thank you for having me here. I'm honored and I'm quite appreciative. A belated Thanksgiving to you and to everyone watching and listening. Again, my name is Jay McLaughlin. I am a pre-planning advisor for Dignity Memorial. Dignity Memorial, what we do is we help families pre-arrange and at-need services or funeral homes, funeral services, I should say, as well as cemetery parks. And one of the things that I find that, especially in our culture, you know, a good number of us do not plan. So I'm excited about giving this information, and I'll start by asking the question, do you know when you're going to die? You don't. You know, my wife said something to me the other day. She said that we should plan, and that plan should start from the cradle to the grave. And I think I mentioned when we were at church that we have been created in the image of God. Okay, so Jesus said, you can do greater things than I. That is with the Holy Spirit. And I think about it, well, God planned. He prepared us for Christ. You know, his birth, his death, and his resurrection. So why shouldn't we plan?
That's correct.
And I remember a pastor when we were in Atlanta that just, I don't know if he got this from Dignity Memorial, but he just said that everyone should die with dignity. You should. So I'll start by, again, the question is, do you know when you're going to die? No, no one knows. They'd be billionaires right now. And I'd like to define what the difference is from pre-need to at need. So pre-need is just you are pre-arranging, you are pre-planning your transition in life. At need is you have passed. And so your loved ones now have to arrange your memorial. So it is, I will say this, and I'll be vulnerable here. Before I started with Dignity Memorial, my thought was, well, I really don't have the time for that. I really don't have the money for that. And why do I need that? A young lady said to me the other day, I don't need that. I'm 30 years old. So, you know, I kind of chuckled and I said, well, okay, I understand. But really what I was thinking is, so you know that you're just going to live. You know, something could happen, God forbid, to you tomorrow. But you want to be prepared. Think about it. We pay for car insurance
Right.
in hopes of nothing, that nothing will happen, okay? Or just in case something happens. But we're praying that nothing happens. So then why wouldn't you pay for something that you know is going to happen? You just don't know when. And what I've seen is families who are not prearranged, who have not pre-planned, they'll come in, and then you know, there are different families. You'll have the family that maybe seven individuals there, a good number of individuals there. And I find that, let's say, there's only one or two that have the finances to do anything. Well, those are the ones who are just sitting back listening.
Right, right.
The ones that can't contribute, they're saying, oh, we need this, we need that. And then when it comes time to pull the finances together, they're not there. And I'm going to say this, and please, I don't take offense. I was surprised the response I got when I said it, but GoFundMe is not a plan. GoFundMe is not a plan. And so, but like I said, I wasn't, when I send out an email now, on my signature at the bottom, I have pre-planning, a wise, responsible, and caring act. And that's what it is. Now, like I said, I wasn't thinking that way, but now I am. I don't want my children to have to deal with the unnecessary stress and strain. Look, God gave us emotions.
Right.
Okay? And one is grieving. But you don't want that grieving to be hindered by something that you could have taken care of.
Right.
And so someone says, well, Jay, what does pre-planning do? Okay, number one, as I stated, it gives your loved ones peace of mind. And there's an opportunity there to prevent unnecessary strain, anxiety, and stress. Number two, it locks in the price. I want you really to think about that. It locks in the price. Individuals come to me, and I think it's great. I think it's great that you have life insurance. But here's the thing about life insurance, and I think that things are changing. But when there's an at-need situation, so someone has died, the question is, what do we do now? So you go to a funeral home, you speak to a family service counselor, okay? And so now you have to arrange that person's homegoing. So I've got life insurance. Well, that funeral director is going to say, okay, well, it may take a month, 2 months to get that check from that insurance company. And they're not, I don't care what funeral home it is, no one's going to do anything until they get that check. I mean, it was sad, but a young man was telling me his cousin was refrigerated for, I think it was 4 to 6 weeks before they got the money. Now, I understand, you know, sometimes we just don't have it, but I think if you, what I find, especially in our culture, and I was that way too. It's like, I can't afford it. I had a young lady that we met with. She was preparing for her father, and we were great through the presentation. When we got closer to sharing with her what that cost would be, she kept saying, oh, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. I said, wait, just we'll figure something out. And we did figure something out. And when she saw it, she said, oh, I can afford that. So I would suggest, I would like you to come to Dignity Memorial, me specifically. As Sandra said, I am a pre-planning advisor. We have over 50 locations here in the greater Houston area. So I can assist you with any funeral home, any cemetery park that Dignity Memorial owns. But back to the pre-planning. So
Jay, I have one question.
Sure.
That you said that when you brought up the cemetery part. So does that pre-planning includes the opening and closing at the cemetery?
Okay, no, yes.
Because people want to know.
No, you're right. You're right. So
too.
hold that there. If I could hold that,
Yeah,
if I could
I'll
table
hold
that, because I just want to make sure. I want to stay focused here, and that's me, not you, but an opportunity to prevent unnecessary stress and anxiety. Okay. Number two, it locks in the price. So when you secure a pre-arrangement right now, so this is 2024, and let's say a person, your loved one, or you pass in 20 years, you're getting 2024 pricing. So the way I look at it, and I could be off here, but I don't think so. You come to me and you say, Jay, I like this F-150. It's brand new. It's 2024. I said, okay, fine. I said, Sandra, I got one better. I'll let you pay on this. You said, well, Jay, I really don't need it now. I'll let you pay on this F-150, this 2024 F-150. But when the 2034 comes out, I'm going to give you the 2034 at the 2024 pricing. You said, well, Jay, what's the advantage of that? Well, you're going to have more bells and whistles. So that's why you want to lock in that price, because no matter what comes down the pipe, they may, God knows what they're going to do to caskets in the next 10, 15, 20 years. But whatever they do, you get it. And they can't say, oh, well, this is 10, 15 years, you're going to have to pay extra. No, it's locked in. And the third thing it does is, we talked about peace of mind. So while you're alive, you've prearranged. When you transition, your loved ones are being spared any unnecessary anxiety and stress. They're locking in the price, but you yourself, while you're alive, you have peace of mind that, hey, when I go, my family's taken care of. So now to the open and close. Okay. Another thing I found that I didn't understand is when you say funeral services, right? People think of the actual service. No. What is, and I'm talking to me, myself, I didn't know. What it is we're taking care of your remains. So death occurs. And let's say you have pre-planned, okay? So now you would call the funeral director of the funeral home that you've secured the goods and services from. That funeral director is responsible now for the process. So they're going to pick up the body, pick up the remains. They're going to transport the remains to the funeral home. And from the funeral home, depending on if it's a traditional burial or if it's cremation. If it's cremation, they're going to refrigerate you, and then they're going to at some point take you to the crematory. But if it's a traditional burial, they're going to embalm you, okay? You have cosmetizing. They want to make sure that you are presentable. Your loved ones would come and say, hey, okay, you did a great job. We're satisfied. But here's the thing. We are going to transport you to the church that you'd like to have the services, or if you want to have it at the funeral home, you can have it there. It's your choice.
Right.
And then if you're at a church, we're going to transport your body from the church if it's a traditional burial, or even if it's cremation. As of 2015, more individuals elect to go with cremation than they do traditional burial.
And why is that, Jay?
It's economics. It's less money. I find in our culture, more people we're still not there yet And so we're thinking, no, I want traditional burial. I said, well, that's fine. We can provide that.
So put a pin right there, Jay.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to ask this question. So funeral expenses are getting more and more expensive.
They are.
So do you think that's why a lot of people are going with cremation?
Right.
Instead of putting all that money in the ground, because it's so expensive now. I mean, for everything, even the cemetery, opening, closing, my God.
Yeah, it's expensive, but then I have to be mindful of that individual who wants to go all out. That was a challenge for me, getting around that mindset. But believe it or not, I'm going to tell a story. I hope my manager doesn't say anything. But it's true. I won't say where it is, but we have a cemetery park where I'll just say a family decided to build a mausoleum, and they're still alive. So they tell their friends, hey, go see where we're going. They're excited about that transition in life. So if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. But I understand. Right. I mean, you want to, I mentioned the word dignity. You want your loved one to be memorialized, to be laid to rest with dignity. So that's one thing I will promise you. I am not here to get you to spend everything you can. I want you to be comfortable. Plus, I want you to refer me. And just being honest, hey, Jay took care of us. But yes, I think with cremation, one thing about Dignity Memorial, they're very creative. So on a cremation, I heard a gentleman tell a story. So he was, I think he was he was in his teenage years. His aunt died. She was cremated. His parents took in her urn. The uncle died. He was cremated. The parents took in the urn. 10 years go by. He's a young adult. His father dies. He decides to be cremated. He has an urn. His mother dies. She's cremated. Now he's got 4 urns. And then a cousin dies. So he's got 5 urns. You know where they ended up? In the closet. Because you may have it on the mantle, but your daughter, your granddaughter may not. So he happened to, I don't know how it went, but he heard about cremation gardens. So what you have now is, like my mother, she passed in 2019. Now she was buried, laid to rest, memorialized in a plot. But, you know, before this, I thought, yeah, I'll go see her. I don't believe in talking to the dead. But what struck me in working with Dignity Memorial is, hey, instead of going to a restaurant or going to some other park, I can go to where my mother is laid to rest, reflect on her, and think about those times. My mother was my rock, and she would encourage me almost every day. So thinking and reflecting on her, it could bring back something she said to encourage me. It could bring a smile on my face, or just to think about her. So what we have at our cemetery parks are cremation gardens where you have flowers, some have lakes, you have benches. So instead of me going to my sibling and say, hey, I want to reflect on mom, but it's at your house. Well, Jay, we're going away for vacation. You know, you can't do that. Now you can go to a cemetery park, and you can, at your own leisure, you don't have to count on another sibling, they're home, and you can sit there and reflect. And I won't get it. We have, one is called a core, whereby it's probably about a foot in length and probably a half foot wide, and you have your name. We have an ossuary whereby, you know, it's almost like a common place for your ashes and remains. But there's so much you can do, and you know, it's all about legacy. You know, I hear some, mainly men, say, "Oh man, just cremate me, I don't care." And so, having, you know, learned over the time I've been with Dignity, sir, it's not about you. You're gone.
Right.
It's your loved ones who want to honor and share the life that you provided for them with others. You know, and let me just say this about pre-planning. We've got a friend, and a loved one passed. I'll just put it like that. And she said, Jay, I needed 2 family members to go with me. They didn't pre-plan. I don't think they did. And so when she was looking at the casket, she said, I had made up my mind to go with top of the line. And she said when she got there, she decided to go further than that, to pay more for that. So again, this is, the loved one has died. This is an at-need situation. So they're at the funeral home. It's not prearranged. And so she said, Jay, I spent crazy money on that casket. Well, he was a vet. And this was no one's fault, but when the person is gone and you're there and you've got to get this done because nothing's going to happen until you pay, but you still have to arrange it, right? Mm-hmm. You know, so much is coming at you. There's so many decisions that one doesn't think about that you have to make in a short period of time under an enormous amount of pressure. And so she got this high-end casket, and she said the day of the service came, and she goes up there to sit down. Well, he's a vet. The flag is draping the casket. So all that money she paid for the casket, you didn't see for the casket. I said a little joke. I would have gone up there and pulled that flag back a little bit so you could see that. But, I mean, so that's one of the advantages of prearranging, you know. Now, this is where I really want to make sure that your listening audience and those watching will hear.
Let me give the number again real quick, Jay, so if they have any questions, they can call in to ask Jay, 281-888-4042. Again, that number is 281-888-4042 if you're listening in or you just tuned in. And if you have any questions about Jay, he's a pre-planning advisor. So there's always questions as it relates to death, because we all have to cross over that way one day. And there's some things you may need to know or some questions you can ask him. So just call in.
Well, thank you for that, Sandra. Before I go there, let me just say this. I want you and I want your audience to think about this. When death occurs and no plans or decisions have been made, the question is, what now? Something that was never thought of is now a reality. So I'm going to ask you, and you don't have to do this with me, but I'm going to ask you, if you were to have passed yesterday, who would oversee your final arrangements today?
It would probably be my sons, and with me, everything gonna be written out.
Okay, but what son?
It's gonna be both of them. They're gonna have equal shares.
Okay,
I'm gonna have everything written out, what I want and how I want it planned out.
Okay, but let's say you didn't. So your sons now,
and somebody probably who knows a little bit more would have to help them.
But we're just going to, for this scenario, they don't know. So on one of life's most difficult days, your sons or someone in your family is going to have to make some of life's most difficult decisions. Okay? And so, and they wouldn't, chances are, they wouldn't know what to do. Correct. Another thing that's going to impact them, the finances, if you've not prearranged. And the third thing is the emotional effect. I mean, hey, my mother's passed. When my mother passed, that one almost took me out, you know, because we that was unexpected.
Right.
And again, a number of individuals don't know. I mean, you know, some people say, oh, I can handle it. Well, until you experience it. So I just want to make sure that your audience hears that example, because that's what we see. And I mean, it's like you go numb.
Right.
But here's we call it it's a hard conversation, you have an easy conversation. And so pretty much everything that is major in our life, any major decision, we're going to plan, okay? So when you plan, what you're doing, as I stated, you have peace of mind.
Right.
You are providing an opportunity to prevent unnecessary stress, strain, and anxiety on your loved ones, and you lock in the price. What I love about Dignity, when I started there, I said, well, let me see. Let me make sure that they're taking care of individuals. And there were 2 women there. They've been there for years. And when I first started, I received so much information. It was like drinking water from a fire hydrant. But one thing the first woman said to me, she said, it's that insurance. I didn't get it. Well, my colleague, who I just saw last night, Miss Carla, on Mother's Day, I had the opportunity to spend some time with her. And she shared it with me. She said, Jay, it's that insurance. So if you hear nothing else, I want you to hear this when it comes to Dignity Memorial. When you secure a package or you secure goods and services with Dignity Memorial, we offer you an opportunity for insurance. And someone says, your insurance companies are just trying to make money. Okay, think about this. No insurance company. You have a funeral home. That funeral home goes out of business. You've not passed yet, but you've prearranged. That money is gone. We partner with insurance companies because that insurance company, number one, has to be solvent, okay? And they're regulated. So let's say they have policies that total $1 billion. Well, they have to have double that. So if they had to pay out $1 billion, I think it's the state that says that they have to have, now don't quote me on that, but I know that they have to have double. So they would need $2 billion. That bank would need $2 billion. And that's one of the reasons we do it. I'm not saying a funeral home or a private funeral home can't do it, but what if things go awry and they can't pay it? Perpetual care. We don't think about those grounds have to be taken care of day in and day out. I think for one of our, I think Jay Jones, I think he, well, no, let me not use his name, I don't want to quote him, but I think someone shared with me that at one of our parks, just the maintenance of the grounds, I want to say it's like $70,000 a month or something like that. And these parks have been here. You know, they've been here for decades. So, look, we do believe that you should die with dignity, and the park should be nice because you're coming to reflect the most visited day of the year for cemetery parks is Mother's Day. You know? So you asked me about open and close. So we're going to go back to open and close. I brought up the services because it's more than the service. It is taking care of that person who is now deceased, their body, and making sure that that process, they go through that process. The other side is the cemetery. Okay, so if you're going traditional, you need a plot. With Dignity Memorial, we ask that you have your casket, but you have a vault. And someone says, oh, well, you're charging no more money. No, because when we lay your loved one to rest and you go back to that park and you see the earth move, or if it dips, you're like, hey, what happened? You know, that vault, there's some that are metal, there's some that are cement. That vault helps keep that ground level. Okay? And then another thing. So here it is. You buy a plot, and they're side by side, adjacent. So your loved one's laid to rest. But now, if it's not in a vault, your loved one, that earth moves, and now your loved one is halfway in the other plot. If I'm saying lot, I meant to say plot, forgive me. So now, when that person opens the casket, opens the ground, they're thinking, what's going on? Well, let me tell you, now we've got to find the next of kin. We need their signature. We cannot touch that. So there's a reason. You know, when individuals say, "Oh, it's so much money," and no, there's a reason why. It costs to open that ground. It costs to put that vault in. It costs to put that casket in, and it costs to make sure that your loved one is in the space that has been designated to them. So yes, there is a cost for open and close, but what we do is we provide a package whereby you save when you get that package. And if you don't want the package, if you want to itemize it, you can itemize it. But what I find is, like that young lady I was sharing, we can, if you give me an opportunity, we can find something for you that is, well, let me give you the intention statement. When I meet with families, I share with them, my responsibility is threefold. Number one, that I afford you enough time to answer all of your questions. Number two, to make sure that I come up with a solution that is conducive or amenable or agreeable for you and your family. And number three, just as important, maybe even more important, it is to ensure that that solution meets your budget. I don't want you saying, "Hey, Jay, I can't afford this," you know. And I will tell you this, over the months and the time I've been with Dignity, my mindset has shifted. If you said, "Oh, I don't want it," I'd say, "Oh, okay." But now I said, "No, you need this." As my colleague said to me last night, Miss Carla, she said, "Jay, this is a blessing." I said, "A blessing?" She said, "Yeah, this is a blessing. Because you said it earlier, you're going to need it. If not now, when? And if you wait, and if you don't prearrange," as I said, GoFundMe is not a plan. Waiting on...
Selling dinners, too. Yeah, you know, Jay, you know I'm telling the truth. Now, you know I'm telling the truth.
That's the first time I've heard that.
No, Jay, I'm serious. When people don't have enough money, they do what they can. They have to sell dinners and everything, raise money.
Oh, dinners. You said dinners. Okay, I thought
yes.
you said something else. All right.
GoFundMe, selling dinners, you know, to raise that money.
I got you. Well,
so
you're
people
right.
are being held
right.
for weeks till they raise that money.
Right. And the other thing that Dignity has is we have what we call the Dignity difference. And I'll just share a couple. One is when you secure the goods and services or a package with us, and you say, "Hey, Jay, I'm moving to Florida." Well, that package goes with you at no charge to you. And you said, "Well, Jay, I got a traditional burial. What about my plots?" Well, we will identify where you're moving to, find the closest Dignity Memorial location, and make sure it's like it's the same pricing up to, I think, about 20%.
So, Jay, what you telling me is Dignity have their own cemetery, too?
Yeah, we've got 50. We've got 50. Don't quote me on this, but we've got 50 locations here in Greater Houston. I think. Let me get this right. 30. I think 34 are funeral homes, and I think 16 or maybe 36 and 14 are cemetery parks. So yeah, we own the cemetery park. So, you know, and one of the things about Dignity, I heard this was just hearsay, that, you know, people say, well, they're trying to take over everything. They're not. In fact, I heard that they were thinking about building, and they said, no, we don't want to do that. I think the only area that we are looking at is up 290. The closer you get to Hockley and Waller, there's really nothing up there, and there's need for a cemetery. But I definitely want to get this part out, because this is the highlight, and this is what separates Dignity Memorial. I talked about the dignity difference. Another one is, and I pray this never happens, and you find that it happens with newborns, but if your child or grandchild under 21 years of age passes, the Lord takes them home, and you have a package with Dignity Memorial, we will lay that child to rest up to the cost of your package. Not saying, let's say you have a $10,000 package. Not saying we're going to spend $10,000, but if that's what it takes to bury your child or your grandchild, that's what we're going to do. A woman called me. She said, hey, Jay, I need to prearrange. I said, well, great. So we set a time, because what I do is I will meet with you at the funeral home. I can meet with you at your home, but we like to set an appointment so we can individually provide what you yourself and your family needs. And then she called back like 30 minutes later and said, hey, Jay, what about my kids? I said, well, how old are they? And she said, well, 5 and 7. I said, well, don't worry. If anything happens to them, we're going to take care of them, up to the amount of your package. We have, which I wish I had when my mother passed, and that is Compassion Helpline. So when a loved one's passed for 13 months, Dignity Memorial has secured individuals with their masters who are experts in grieving that you can call 24/7 for 13 months. And why we give you 13 months, that loved one who's passed, their birthday comes around. If it's a father, it's Father's Day and Christmas, so that's going to be tough. You pick up the phone and you call them, and they will help you through that period. You can call every day if you want to, 24/7. And if someone attends a celebration of life or service, they have access to that line for 3 months. We have our bereavement travel, whereby we understand that families are all over the world. And so what we want to do is we want to help you as much as we can. I don't know what those discounts are, but we've partnered with various agencies, travel agencies, airline agencies, to make sure that we can help your family get to where they need to be. And I keep saying this, but here's what I want your listeners and your viewers to hear. When you secure a package and you take advantage of that insurance, pretty much every insurance policy has a 2-year,
waiting period.
Right. Contestability.
It's a clause.
Forgive me. Contestability. Okay, so what they want to do is they want to make sure that, hey, when you sign this contract, what caused your death, you didn't have it at time of signing, that it came afterwards, okay? So in that contestability period, if you just pay all out, then you're covered. So if you were to pay and you said, hey, Jay, I'm just going to pay this right now. You walk out the door and the Lord decides to bring you home. It's paid for. It's paid for. So the initial payment is no major. Whatever you pay a month, that's your first payment. So when we meet, say, Jay, it's $150 or it's $100 or it's just $50 a month. That's what you're paying, your first payment, because that's what you pay every month. So in that contestability period, and in fact, we decided to go with another insurance company to make sure that we can get your money to you faster, okay? We will even ask for your physician. So when you pass, we can get with that physician, if it is within that contestability period, and say, hey, did she have this when she signed? No, this came afterwards. Okay, good. Then they reimburse the money, okay? Now, if you make it to 2 years in a day, it's covered. If you pass after that, and then the other thing, we offer a 3, 5, and a 10-year term, meaning we allow you to pay on the goods and services that you have secured with Dignity. And the reason I don't use the word finance, we do not charge interest. I want you to hear that. We do not charge interest. Now, you do have to pay for the insurance, but we do not charge interest. And let me just add, and this is a promo, that this month we are offering 12% off on prearranged funerals, be it cremation or traditional burial or plots, So back to 2 years in a day. Let's say you're on a 5-year plan. That 3 years is paid off. And let me go back. That first year, you said, well, Jay, I want to go with the 5-year term plan. Okay, you're going to pay 5 years. And then you say, well, Jay, can I pay this off? Well, yeah, you can pay it off as long as it's within that 12 months. After that 12 months, then you're paying the remainder 4 years. So again, we have a 3-year, 5-year, and a 10-year. Now, let me add this. If you have a pre-existing condition, I want you to think about that, a pre-existing condition. Do you know how hard it is to get insurance if you've got a pre-existing condition?
Yes.
So, on a pre-existing condition, we have this, it's a grading system. So we will allow you to secure coverage. If you go with a 3-year plan, from the first year, should you pass in that contestability period, and they investigate and they find that everything's on the up and up, we'll pay 50%. After that, it's full pay. After that, I think it's the 13th month, we'll pay the whole thing off. That's with a pre-existing condition. That is amazing. If you're on the 5-year, it's a little different. It's 30, 70, and 100. So in the first year, should you pass in that contestability period, we'll pay 30%. I think from the 13th year to the 25th, 13th month to the 25th month, we'll pay 70%. That's with a pre-existing condition. You get to that 25th month, you get past that, we're paying the whole thing off. So here's what, and again, I'll bring up Ms. Carla. Here's what she said to me. She said, Jay, if anyone balks at that, you tell a 50, 60, 70, 80, or 90-year-old with a pre-existing condition to go out and find insurance and see if they can get what we charge them. See if they'll give 30%, 70%, or pay 100%. It's going to be difficult. You say, well, why can we do that? Well, we have over 2,000 locations throughout the country. And people come, even, I mean, Dignity Memorial is highly esteemed.
Yes.
And another thing that we have in our Dignity difference, 100% guarantee. After the service, if a loved one of yours died and you went with Dignity Memorial, someone is going to call you and say, hey, Miss Sandra, we want to meet with you. Well, what do you want to meet with me? And we tell you this before, but we want to meet with you because we want to go over the service. Was everything okay? And you said, well, there was one, well, we're going to investigate that. We're going to find out what's going on. So I'm excited about Dignity Memorial. We do have a lot to offer. We understand the process of preparing a loved one.
We have one question. Hold there.
Okay.
If we're not satisfied with the policy that we have, how do we cancel it and change over?
Now that, sir, is above my pay grade. But what I can do is, if you would call me, and I'll give out my number, call me and let me get with head of our department, and I promise you I will get an answer for you. My number is 281-702-1813. Again, that's 281-702-1813.
Thank you, caller, for that question.
Yeah, so, yeah, and let me just say this. I am not a funeral director. I don't handle the funds. My focus and what they have brought me on at Dignity to do is to help you prearrange, to make sure that when you pass or a loved one pass, that the goods and services that are needed to lay you to rest with dignity are there. And let me tell you, I'm amazed, and the families I meet with, they pretty much refer their families to come to Dignity Memorial. And listen, I mean, there's a reason why Dignity Memorial can offer you 100% money back guarantee, because they know what they're doing, and they've been doing it since, you know, I understand that we have served every president who's passed, I think, from Eisenhower on. The Bushes, I mean, so we know what we're doing. We're definitely sensitive to the fact that, you know, when a loved one passes, and you know, my experience with my mother is, and I didn't handle that, my sister did, but I feel that you should plan, and it should be affordable to you. Now, let me just say this. It is a business, you know, and even the Bible says that a man is worth his hire. The one thing that I love that we can do, Dignity gives us the opportunity to find a plan that fits your budget. in order that we can take care of you or your family. And I'm excited about that.
Because one thing I was going to say, Jay, is, some people really can't afford it. That's why they don't either have insurance and they don't do pre-needs or at needs.
Right.
So, because it's just not budget-wise or feasible, because some people are struggling and...
Well, but what I would say, Sandra, is give me an opportunity. Sit down with me. Let me share with you what we have to offer. I mean, just the 3, the 5, and the 10-year term alone. Mm-hmm. 10 years. That's a major offer to give someone. Mm-hmm. There are some risks there, but Dignity Memorial is willing to take that risk, and the number of locations we have in each location is different. And another thing, someone may ask me for price. I honestly, I couldn't give you a price. I need to know where you want to be, and if it's cremation, and even if it's cremation, do you want to be in one of our cemetery parks where we have cremation? I think I can give you this. There was a woman who lived on the south side of town, and she wanted a traditional burial for a loved one, and it was up there with everything she wanted. And I said, hey, I can help you out. She said, I can cut that in half. And I did cut it in half for her. But I said, now look, it's going to be at this funeral home. She said, well, I don't want to have anything there. I said, well, you don't have to have anything there. Remember, it's retrieving your loved one's body, preparing the body, be it that cremation or traditional burial. We will transport the body back to the church. She says, yeah, it's like, 30 miles back. I said, okay, well, we'll transfer the body to your church and their loved one, the vet, and then we'll transport the body to, it was the National Cemetery on Veterans. So she said, yeah, because she said, I don't want to have the church service all the way up there. My loved ones are down here. I said, the only time you're going to have to go up there it's on the north side, is to view the body, the cosmetizing, to make sure that it fits, you're satisfied with what they did. She said, oh, it cut that. I think she saved like $7,000, $7,000 to $8,000. Again, that's what Dignity Memorial allows us to do. Yeah.
So that's one thing, because a lot of times when people who don't have a lot of money, they don't have insurance or they don't have the pre-need. That's why a lot of times they do the cremation, because they try to either raise enough money or have family members to pitch in. I've seen this at my church too, where they either going with cremation or you waiting, or as I stated earlier, they're selling dinners, they doing whatever they can to raise that money. Some want the traditional service. No, they don't have a policy, but they try to come up with the money. So whatever way they can go that's feasible for them.
And listen, I don't balk at that. I want you to do what's comfortable and what's in your budget. But here's the thing. As someone, how can I put this? If I really want to do something, and it's going to cost me, why am I buying Starbucks? Why am I buying $6.40, which my wife was, don't do. But why am I doing that? Because if it really means something to me, if I really want to make sure, again, that line that I give, pre-planning, it is a wise, responsible, and caring act. If I want my daughter to not have to go through that unnecessary strain and stress and that anxiety, then I need to pre-plan for myself. That's a responsibility. And I think it's something within our culture that we need to add to that budget. Number one, we need to have a budget to begin with. But I would say, give me an opportunity, sit with me, and let me share with you the options that are available to you. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and I'll try to find something else for you.
Right.
But 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, and to know that, hey, if the Lord decides to take me before that, the whole thing's going to be paid off. I want to go back to that pre-existing condition. It is difficult to get insurance with a pre-existing condition, and so what Dignity is saying, hey, we'll cover you. It's a little different now, but we're still 3 years. The first year we'll pay 50%. 13th month on, we're paying the whole thing. 5 years, it's 30%, 70%, and after that 25th month, it's 100%. That's on a 5 and a 10 year. So, you know, what we say is to protect the family, and I look at it again. If you were to secure a package right now, and you walked out that door, and God forbid something happened, and the Lord brought you home, you made one payment, and the rest of that is paid off.
So give them your number again, Jay.
Okay.
For those of you that's listening to my viewers and my listening audience, Jay is going to give you that number again. He's with Dignity Memorial. He's going to give you that number where you can contact him. And you know, we know a lot of people who in this day and time don't have insurance. Our young people think because they're young they don't need insurance.
Right.
But we all need insurance. Every last one of us. I tell my sons, get you some insurance. Tell them. So we need it.
But if I may, with us, it's a little different. It's more than insurance. It's preparing for end of life, and it's making sure that you have the goods and services to take care of that loved one. Okay, so it's not just insurance. It's the insurance, but it's everything that you need for end of life. And my number is 281-702-1813. Again, that's 281-702-1813. I am a pre-planning advisor for Dignity Memorial, and I can assist you with any one of our funeral homes as well as cemetery parks. And I tell you, the Lord gave me a plan for individuals. Say, well, Jay, I don't want to pay this for this cemetery park, but give me a phone call. I've got a way where you can afford it. Should you decide to go with the traditional burial, have a way that I could save you money on the plots. And let me tell you, now we give these out, and this is the Dignity Memorial Personal Planning Guide. It's invaluable. And one of the first things that we have up front is, and here's another thing. If you've got, and I think life insurance is great, okay? But as you get older, things start to change.
Right.
Okay? But in this first page right here, it's important information. Well, this is information needed for a death certificate. You don't have that death certificate, you're not going to get that check from the insurance company because they want to make sure, hey, that the person is deceased. One of the things we have in here too, I thought it was pretty neat. It's financials. So you don't want to put your account numbers in here, but let's say there's an American Express card that when you fly, I'm not sure if you die on the plane or if you die, but you have secured a ticket with this American Express card. Well, one of the benefits is your loved ones get $100,000. So if you put American Express card, but you did not note that there's a benefit for $100,000, that company, American Express, is not going to call your next of kin and say, hey, you got a $100,000 benefit. So it would behoove you to put that there for your loved ones so they know, hey, if I secure a plane ticket and I die, there's a $100,000 benefit. So check your credit cards, you know, see. But I would suggest definitely having a will, a trust. But this 22-page comprehensive journal, pretty much every question a funeral director is going to ask. I don't want my children to have to sit across someone they don't know.
Right.
And have to answer questions that chances are they don't have the answers to. So Sandra, this has been great. I tell you, I do have a request, though. I do have a request. I'd like to come back and speak with you about finding out what you're called to do and called to be in the Lord. I'm working on a book right now. 3 columns to purpose, a method as to how you identify what you're called to do and called to be. And listen, I add in the Lord, because here's what I see going on right now. Where we are in 2024 heading into 2025, with the advancement of AI, advanced technologies, superior apps, it is more likely for a human to lose a job opportunity to the likes of Siri or Alexa than another human being.
Yes.
So the way I look at it is, if you do what God's called you to do, not saying that you won't lose a job, you won't have an employer who treats you wrong, but God's obligated to bless you with another job or to bless you with your own company. So that is my request, that you would allow me to come back, and I'd like to talk and discuss with you and maybe take some questions on that. But as far as Dignity Memorial, I think we are tops. I know we are tops, and I don't think I know we are tops, and I know that we can provide a memorial, a celebration of life, because that's what it is. I'll say this, one more thing about this personal planning guide. When I started reading this, I said, if I were mature enough, because they're still working on me now, but if I were mature enough, when I was 19 or 20, and I read this and could really grasp what they're saying, every 19-year-old, 18-year-old, 20-year-old should read this. Let me tell you why. When I got to the part, it says here, your legacy. Questions, my earliest ambitions, things that make me laugh, my proudest family moments, my proudest career accomplishments, special achievements, my favorite songs. I thought, if I could grasp, and I was mature enough to grasp it, I would say, hey, these are the things that they're going to talk about. So let me accomplish them and do it in excellence, so that when they talk about me and my achievements, it's something worth talking about. So get this for your teenagers too.
Jay, give them your number one
Sure.
more time before we get ready to close out. Give them the number again where they can contact you.
Okay, that phone number is 281-702-1813. That's 281-702-1813. And if you miss it, just call any Dignity location, or I would, well, yeah, pretty much any, or ask them to put you in touch with J. McLaughlin. That's the initial J, period, McLaughlin. That's MC, then Laugh, L-A-U-G-H, and Lynn, L-I-N. And I really do want to help you and your family. And like I said, give you the time to make sure that I answer all your questions. Number 2, make sure that I come up with a solution that is best for you and your family. And number 3, to make sure that I come up with a solution with the backdrop and with the foundation of the company I work for, Dignity Memorial, to make sure that it fits your budget.
What I like about Dignity Memorial, and Jay was sitting here talking about, sometimes, yeah, the insurance can be really expensive, but what I like, they have the pre-need plan where it's affordable for you, where they can work with you and your budget, whatever budget you have, they can work with your budget. So pick up the phone and call Jay. He'll help you. All you have to do is dial that number that he just gave you, and he's willing to help you any area that he can to get you with that pre-need plan. I'm telling you, you're going to need it for yourself, your family members. I mean, tell your friends, whoever. They need it. We all need it. So he'll help you. Just pick up the phone and call him. He's just a phone call away. So I thank you all for tuning in with your girl on tonight. I have an exciting show for you on next week. And I just bless God for each and every one of you. And like us and share us. Tell somebody about this station. You don't know who you're helping when you tune in to see and hear what we're going to be discussing because my show is about real truth, real solutions, and real answers. And every time I bring a guest on, I love it when there's so transparency. I'm all about transparency, because when you're transparent, you're helping people. I'm all about helping people. So I bless God for you on tonight. I'll see you on next week. Good night.